Ethan sat on the edge of his small porch, staring at the twin suns setting over the horizon of Vesper 9, a quiet human colony on the edge of explored space. The sky was painted in brilliant oranges and purples, but for him, the colors did little to chase away the memories of a life he had long tried to leave behind. Years had passed since the Galactic War, yet the day he risked everything to save the alien queen, Liara, burned in his mind, as if it were yesterday. It had been a battle unlike any other. The Zilari, a highly advanced alien species, had been on the brink of destruction. Their capital world had been overrun by the ruthless Tarkon Empire, and Queen Liara, their young but formidable leader, had been in mortal danger. The Council of Planets had ordered humans to remain neutral, to avoid interference, but Ethan had not obeyed. He remembered slipping aboard the Tarkon flagship, his heart pounding as he navigated the maze of corridors, shadows stretching across the walls like dark fingers. The ship smelled of burning metal and something alien, something that made his skin crawl. He had moved silently, every step calculated, every breath shallow. He had known the risk. If he were caught, the Tarkons would kill him without hesitation. Yet he had pressed on, and then he had found her. Liara had been cornered, her energy staff shattered, the glow in her eyes dimmed with fear. She had looked at him not as a human, not as an ally, but as something entirely unexpected. A savior. Without hesitation, Ethan had fought through the enemy guards, using every skill he had learned in human military training, and some he had invented on the spot. For hours he had been on the brink of death, yet he could not stop. Something in him had known that the survival of Liara meant the survival of hope itself. He had carried her across the battlefield, dodging energy blasts, jumping over fallen debris, and finally, they had escaped in a stolen Zilari transport ship. When the battle ended and the dust settled, she had looked at him, and for a moment there had been no words, only understanding. That one act had bound their fates together forever, though neither had known it at the time. Now, years later, Ethan lived a quiet life, far from the chaos of war. He had taken a job as an engineer, repairing old ships and maintaining life support systems. His days were simple. He woke up with the suns, worked, ate, and watched the stars at night. Yet even in this peaceful routine, the memory of Liara haunted him. He wondered often what had become of her. Was she alive? Was she still leading her people? Or had the galaxy finally taken her as it had so many others? Ethan's thoughts were interrupted by the soft hum of his communicator. At first he thought it was a routine message from the Colony Council, but when he activated it, his heart skipped a beat. A holographic image flickered into life before him, and there was the unmistakable figure of the Zilari High Council, glowing in the pale light of the projection. "Ethan Carter," the council began, their voices harmonized in a way that felt almost musical to human ears. "Your presence is requested by Queen Liara. She has a message and a request." Ethan leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. He had not expected this, not now, not ever. Questions tumbled through his head. Why after all these years? Why now? And most importantly, what did she want with him? He considered ignoring the message, as many in the colony suggested. Humans were advised to leave the Zilari affairs alone, to avoid entanglement in their political matters. But Ethan could not. Something in his chest tightened, a mixture of curiosity, loyalty, and perhaps something he did not fully understand. A sense of unfinished business. The decision made, he packed his essentials, tools, weapons, and enough supplies for the journey. The trip to Liara's world was dangerous. The galaxy was not as peaceful as it appeared, and travelers often faced rogue pirates, meteor storms, and remnants of Tarkon loyalists still seeking revenge. But Ethan had faced worse before. He had risked his life for an alien queen once. What were a few more dangers compared to the bond he felt and the honor he owed? As he boarded his small starship, he took a moment to glance at the colony below. Simple homes, dusty streets, and quiet families. It was a world of safety, but also one that reminded him why he had left it all behind. Humanity, for all its ingenuity, was fragile, but humans had heart, and that heart had once saved a galaxy from despair. He reminded himself that the same human spirit lived in him now, ready to face whatever waited. The journey was long. Ethan navigated through asteroid fields, danced along the edges of black holes, and evaded patrols that could easily have destroyed his small vessel. Yet each challenge reminded him of why humans were remarkable, resourcefulness, determination, and the ability to improvise, qualities the Zilari admired and could never replicate. These traits had kept him alive in countless battles, and they would serve him well again. Finally, after weeks of travel, he entered the orbit of Liara's homeworld. The sight took his breath away. Cities floated above oceans, connected by shimmering energy bridges that glowed like veins of light. Ships of incredible design moved gracefully through the skies, some almost alive in appearance. The Zilari civilization was unlike anything humans had built, yet it radiated a familiar order, a quiet elegance that made his pulse quicken. The landing platform was enormous, a gleaming structure suspended in the air. Ethan's small ship touched down gently and he stepped out, feeling the gravity of the world press lightly against him. The air smelled of minerals and strange vegetation, a mix that was surprisingly pleasant to human senses. He felt a shiver of anticipation. Liara would be here. She would see him again. Moments later, she appeared. The Queen moved with a grace that was both alien and utterly commanding. Her presence filled the entire platform, her eyes glowing faintly with the energy of her people. Time seemed to slow for Ethan. She looked at him not as a visitor or a human in awe, but with the quiet acknowledgement of shared history. "Ethan Carter," she said, her voice smooth and melodic. "It has been many years. I never thought I'd see you again." Ethan replied, his voice steady despite the rush of emotion. Liara's eyes softened, a rare moment of vulnerability in one so often surrounded by power and duty. "You risked everything for me once. I have not forgotten, and now, I need your help again." Ethan felt a mix of relief and tension. Whatever awaited him, he knew it would not be simple. The galaxy never made things simple, and the Zilari, for all their wonder, still faced threats beyond imagination. But he also felt a deep, undeniable truth. Humans had a place among the stars, not just as soldiers or laborers, but as hearts capable of courage, hope, and sacrifice. "I'll do whatever it takes," Ethan said. Liara inclined her head, a faint smile forming. "Then come. Let us speak of the future, and of the past you helped shape." As they walked together into the heart of the floating city, Ethan realized something profound. Years had passed, the galaxy had changed, but the bond formed through courage and risk had not faded. It was alive, stronger than politics, wars, or even time itself. Humanity had left its mark once, and perhaps it could do so again. Ethan could barely sleep that night. His small quarters on Liara's floating city were quiet, yet the hum of the energy fields and distant ships outside reminded him that he was no longer on a human world. Every detail around him, from the shimmering bridges of light to the soft glow of alien flora, was a reminder that he had entered a universe far beyond human imagination. And at the center of it all was Liara, the alien queen whose life he had once saved. He spent hours replaying the events that had brought him here. The message from the Zilari High Council had been simple but urgent. The Queen requested his presence not as a guest, not as a soldier, but as someone who had once risked everything for her. The words lingered in his mind. He had always believed that his actions had been necessary, but he had never imagined they would be remembered so vividly across alien worlds. The next morning, Ethan followed a narrow, glowing walkway that led into the heart of the city. The air was filled with a soft hum, a mixture of energy fields and distant conversations. The Zilari moved gracefully, their movements precise and almost musical. He felt both awe and an odd sense of belonging. Humans, for all their simplicity, had a certain resilience that even the Zilari admired, and Ethan knew that. Liara awaited him in a hall that floated high above the main city. The room was vast, circular, and made entirely of a transparent material that allowed him to see the world stretching far below. Light bent and shimmered across the floor, casting moving patterns that danced across their faces. Liara stood at the center, her posture regal, yet her eyes softened as they met his. "Ethan," she said, "I am glad you came." "I couldn't refuse," he replied. His voice was steady, but inside his heart raced. He did not know what awaited him here. Liara gestured to the center of the hall, where a floating device projected images in 3 dimensions. Star systems rotated slowly, highlighting certain planets and fleets. "The galaxy is changing," she began. "Old enemies have fallen, but new threats rise. There are forces moving in the shadows, forces that even the Zilari may struggle to control. That is why I need someone like you, a human, to aid me. Ethan studied the projection. What exactly do you mean? He asked. Liara's gaze was steady. The Tarkans are gone, but remnants remain. Beyond them, other factions seek power, technology, weapons, and knowledge that could destroy entire civilizations. I need a mind that can think like a human but act across species. I need someone who understands courage, loyalty, and the willingness to risk everything. That person is you, Ethan swallowed. The responsibility was immense. Humans were few in the galaxy compared to the Zalari, but Liara's words reminded him of one undeniable truth. Humans had something the galaxy often underestimated: imagination, adaptability, and heart. I'll do my best, he said quietly. Liara smiled faintly. That will be enough. But first you must understand our world. You cannot help if you do not understand. Over the next days, Ethan was introduced to the intricate workings of the Zalari civilization. He learned about their energy systems, the way they controlled ships almost like living beings, and how they harnessed power from the very fabric of space. At times it was overwhelming. The humans' most advanced technology seemed primitive in comparison. Yet Ethan noticed something that impressed Liara: his ability to adapt, to see solutions in unexpected ways. One evening, as they walked along a glowing bridge that arched high over the city's central oceans, Liara spoke quietly. You know, Ethan, the Zalari have long believed that our strength lies in technology and discipline, and we are strong. But you, humans, you have something else. You fight not because you must, but because you choose to. You risk yourselves even when there is no certainty of survival. That is something we cannot teach. Ethan looked out at the endless city lights below. I didn't do it for glory, he said softly. I did it because it was the right thing to do. I couldn't let you die. Liara studied him for a long moment. That choice, that is why you are here, and why I believe you can face what comes next. The next part of his training was not simple. Liara did not just want him to observe or learn. She wanted to test him. The first trial involved navigating an abandoned Tarkan outpost on a nearby moon. The structure had been left intact after the war, but it was still dangerous, filled with automated defense systems, traps, and the occasional surviving rogue Tarkan drone. Ethan had faced danger before, but the scale here was different. The drones moved with precision, analyzing movement faster than human sensors could track. He had to improvise, using his knowledge of engineering and physics to manipulate the environment. He rerouted power lines to disable force fields, used mirrors and reflections to mislead targeting sensors, and even created makeshift barriers to block detection. Every moment required him to think, act, and anticipate the unexpected. After hours of tense maneuvering, he reached the central chamber, where a small Zalari artifact awaited him. Liara's voice echoed in his communicator. You see, Ethan, this is only a fraction of the challenges you will face. Each threat in the galaxy requires more than strength. It requires understanding, ingenuity, and a heart willing to endure. Ethan held the artifact carefully. Its surface shimmered with energy, delicate yet powerful. I understand, he said. I'll do whatever it takes to protect your world. And mine. But the trials were not only physical. Liara also tested his moral and ethical judgment. She presented him with simulations of galactic crises, colonies under attack, fleets lost in deep space, and situations where no decision could save everyone. Each time Ethan had to choose, balancing human compassion with strategic necessity. Some choices were easy, others weighed heavily on him. Yet through each test he proved that humans could combine emotion with logic, a trait that even the Zalari found extraordinary. During one late-night simulation, Ethan paused, staring at the holographic representation of a colony about to fall. Sometimes, there isn't a right answer, he said quietly. Liara appeared beside him, her form glowing softly. That is true. But humans have a unique quality. You endure uncertainty. You take responsibility for what you can change, and you do not hesitate to act when others might falter. That is why you survived once, and why you may survive again. As the days passed, Ethan began to feel a connection not only with Liara, but with the Zalari people as well. They were disciplined, advanced, and brilliant, yet they lacked the very spark that made humans unpredictable in ways that could save lives. In the trials, he realized that he was not just learning about the Zalari. He was proving the value of his own species. Then, just as he was gaining confidence, a new challenge appeared. Liara received a report from her scouts. A faction of rogue Zalari scientists had discovered a lost technology, an ancient weapon capable of massive destruction. Unlike the Tarkans, this threat was internal, a danger born of ambition, not conquest. Liara's voice was tense as she spoke to Ethan. They seek power that even we cannot fully control. If they succeed, entire star systems could be obliterated. Ethan, I need you to help stop them. Ethan nodded, feeling a familiar surge of adrenaline. The stakes were high, higher than anything he had faced before. Yet he knew, as he had known during the war years ago, that humans could rise to challenges when others hesitated. Courage, ingenuity, and the will to act. These were traits no amount of technology could replace. I'm ready, he said. Liara's expression softened. Then let us prepare. The galaxy may have changed, but the heart that saved me once still beats strong. I trust it will guide us now. That night, Ethan stood on the balcony of his quarters, gazing at the stars. The twin suns had set, leaving only the glow of distant planets and the faint hum of the city. He thought of his colony, of the quiet human worlds he had left behind, and of the risks he had once taken for someone not even human. And yet, he felt a sense of purpose he had not known in years. Humans were small in the vast galaxy, but their impact could be immense. Courage and loyalty were forces that no advanced weapon could replicate. And as long as he lived, Ethan knew that he would continue to fight, not for glory, not for recognition, but because it was right. The trials, the unknown enemies, the rogue scientists, all of it awaited him. And he was ready. For in the heart of every human was something the galaxy could never ignore: the willingness to risk everything for others, to stand against impossible odds and to endure where others might falter. Ethan had faced dangers before, but nothing like what awaited him in the heart of Liara's world. The Queen had spoken of tests, but the reality was far more intense than he had imagined. He understood now that these trials were not just about survival. They were a measure of trust, loyalty, and the human spirit itself. Liara guided him to a circular platform that hovered above the central city. Its surface was smooth and transparent, allowing a clear view of the sprawling metropolis below. Energy bridges arched gracefully between towers, and ships glided silently through the sky. The platform hummed with a soft resonance as though it itself was alive. Ethan, Liara said, her voice calm yet commanding. These trials are not meant to be simple. You will face situations where every choice matters. Your actions will define not only your fate, but the trust I place in you. Are you ready? Ethan nodded. I am ready. The first trial was immediate. As the platform's edge began to glow, it transformed into a holographic simulation of a battlefield. Ethan found himself standing among soldiers, both human and Zalari, under attack by an unknown enemy. Energy blasts streaked through the sky and explosions shook the ground beneath his feet. Observe, Liara's voice echoed in his mind. Then act. Ethan quickly assessed the situation. Human and Zalari forces were scattered, their coordination poor in the chaos. The enemy seemed to anticipate every move, adapting faster than anything he had faced before. But humans had a unique advantage: creativity and improvisation. He moved swiftly, taking command where he could, directing soldiers to cover, rerouting energy shields, and using debris as barriers. The holographic enemy adapted, but Ethan anticipated the patterns, predicting their next moves. Every action required split-second decisions, and he realized that leadership was not about following orders. It was about understanding the battlefield and acting decisively. When the simulation ended, he found himself back on the platform, sweat dampening his brow. Liara's gaze was steady. You acted well. But courage alone is not enough. Loyalty is tested when the choices are unclear. The next challenge was more subtle and more difficult. Ethan was led to a chamber where he found two holographic scenarios. In the first, a human colony was under attack by a powerful Zalari weapon gone rogue. Saving it meant risking the lives of several Zalari engineers. In the second, an entire Zalari research station was threatened, but defending it would allow the colony to be destroyed. You must choose, Liara said. There is no perfect solution. Only your judgment. Ethan's mind raced. He considered the consequences carefully. weighing the lives of many against the lives of a few. Humans often valued life, but strategy sometimes demanded sacrifice. After long moments of thought, he made his choice. He diverted the weapon's attack to protect the colony, risking the research station. Liara observed silently. The chamber flickered and the simulation ended. "Your decision demonstrates a human truth," she said softly. "You understand that loyalty is not blind obedience. It is the courage to act with conscience even when the cost is high. That is what makes you extraordinary." Ethan felt a mixture of relief and tension. These trials were not about physical strength. They tested character, ethics, and judgment under pressure. Humans were small in the galaxy, yet the ability to make such choices with heart and mind gave them a power the Zalari admired, but could never fully replicate. Over the following days, the tests became increasingly complex. Ethan navigated through simulations where he had to outsmart rogue Tarkon ships, disarm ancient alien traps, and negotiate with factions that distrusted both humans and Zalari. Each challenge pushed him beyond his limits, yet he never faltered. Liara watched closely, often silently. She observed how Ethan combined human intuition with knowledge he had learned from her people. He modified energy shields on the fly, rerouted ship power to create improvised weapons, and sometimes acted purely on instinct when no logic could guide him. One particularly difficult trial involved a simulation of a failing energy core in a floating Zalari city. The core was about to overload, threatening to destroy everything below. Ethan had to stabilize the core using a combination of Zalari technology and human engineering. The problem required him to think in ways neither humans nor Zalari had fully attempted. He analyzed the core's energy matrix, noting fluctuations that suggested it could be stabilized if the power was rerouted through an external conduit. The timing had to be perfect. Any mistake would trigger an overload. Sweat ran down his face as he adjusted energy flows, rerouted channels, and finally, with a burst of intuition, stabilized the core just as the simulation counted down to 0. Liara appeared beside him, her eyes glowing faintly. "That was exceptional, Ethan. You combined creativity, courage, and understanding. Humans possess a spark that can illuminate even the darkest challenges." Ethan exhaled, feeling a mixture of pride and exhaustion. "I only did what I had to do," he replied. "You did more than that," Liara said. "You proved that loyalty is not only about following instructions. It is about understanding, adapting, and taking responsibility when others cannot. That is what sets humans apart." The final test was the hardest. Ethan was taken to a chamber where a holographic version of Liara appeared, surrounded by enemies. He was instructed to rescue her, but every decision had consequences. Moving too quickly could trigger traps. Hesitating could lead to failure. The simulation was flawless. Enemies responded with advanced AI that mirrored Zalari combat tactics. Ethan approached cautiously, analyzing every angle. He noticed subtle patterns. The AI followed predictable paths but responded aggressively to hesitation. He decided to act boldly. Using a combination of energy projectiles and improvised barricades, he cleared a path. But the final stretch required something more. He had to place himself directly in harm's way to allow the Queen to escape. For a moment, time seemed to slow. Ethan thought of the past, the day he had carried Liara through the battlefield, dodging enemy fire, risking everything for a life that was not even human. The memory fueled him now. Without hesitation, he moved forward, shielding the holographic Queen with his body as he guided her through the chaos. The simulation ended. Ethan fell to his knees, exhausted but triumphant. Liara's voice rang out, soft yet powerful. "You have passed the test, Ethan. You have shown courage, intelligence, and loyalty. You have proven what humans are capable of, what you are capable of. That is why you are here, and why I trust you now." For the first time, Ethan felt a sense of pride that went beyond personal accomplishment. He had not only survived, he had shown that humans could shine even in a galaxy of advanced beings. Liara's acknowledgement reinforced what he had always known. Courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to act with heart were the true strengths of humanity. That night, Liara invited him to a quiet garden suspended above the city. Bioluminescent plants glowed softly, and the air was filled with the hum of distant energy fields. The city below seemed peaceful, but Ethan knew the galaxy was never truly at rest. "You have done well, Ethan," Liara said, her voice gentle. "But your trials are only the beginning. Challenges loom that will require everything you have learned and more. Are you prepared for what comes next? Ethan looked out at the glowing city, at the vast galaxy beyond, and felt a determination he had not known since the days of war. I am ready, he said firmly. Whatever comes, I will face it. Not just for you, but for humanity. Liara nodded, a faint smile on her lips. Good. Remember this, Ethan. Humans are small in number, but mighty in spirit. You have proven that one human heart, willing to act with courage and loyalty, can change the course of events even in a galaxy filled with advanced technology and powerful species. That is why you survived once, and why you may survive again. As Ethan left the garden that night, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, filled with challenges that would test his skills, his morals, and his courage. Yet he knew that humans, with their determination and heart, could rise to meet any threat. The city of Liara's world glittered like a jewel in the darkness of space, but beneath its beauty lurked a danger that could undo everything. Ethan had passed the trials, proved his courage, and earned Liara's trust. But now the real test began. Reports had arrived from scouts. A faction of rogue Zalari scientists had discovered an ancient technology hidden deep within a forgotten star system. The device was powerful, more dangerous than any weapon the galaxy had ever known. It could destroy entire planets in a single activation. Liara gathered her council, and Ethan stood by her side. His human presence was unusual but necessary. The council members, advanced beings who trusted logic and discipline above all, had come to respect Ethan's intuition and problem-solving skills. We must stop them before they learn to control the device, Liara said. Her voice was steady, but Ethan could see the tension in her glowing eyes. The rogue faction believes that power alone will protect the galaxy. They do not understand loyalty, responsibility, or the consequences of their actions. That is why we need both Zalari technology and human ingenuity. Ethan listened carefully, taking mental notes. He had faced overwhelming odds before, but this challenge would test every skill he had learned. Navigation through uncharted space, understanding alien technology, predicting enemy behavior. He would have to use them all. The first step was travel. The rogue faction had taken refuge in the Shattered Nebula, a dangerous expanse of cosmic debris, unstable energy storms, and hidden gravitational anomalies. Zalari ships could navigate it with advanced sensors, but the unpredictability of the nebula required human improvisation. Ethan piloted their small craft, his hands moving over controls that were a hybrid of human and Zalari technology. The storm ahead is unstable, he said. We'll need to time our movements with the energy pulses. If we miscalculate, we could be shredded before we even reach the target. Liara watched him closely. Your instincts are human but effective. Proceed as you think best. Using careful calculations, intuition, and a bit of luck, Ethan guided their ship through the shifting debris. Asteroids collided nearby, sending shockwaves that would have destroyed ordinary vessels. But he anticipated each movement, adjusting shields and propulsion with precision. The Zalari behind him watched in silent admiration. They had never seen humans navigate chaos with such skill. Finally, they reached the rogue scientists' hidden base, a massive construct built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, its surface bristling with energy shields and defensive turrets. The base was imposing, but Ethan's mind was already working. We can't just storm the gates, he said. We need to outsmart them, Liara nodded. Then you lead, Ethan. Using a combination of Zalari cloaking fields and human engineering tricks, Ethan devised a plan. They would create a diversion, drawing the rogue scientist defenses away, while a smaller team infiltrated the core chamber to disable the weapon. The timing had to be perfect. As they executed the plan, Ethan moved with calm precision. Energy blasts lit the asteroid's surface as their diversion engaged enemy turrets. Liara's forces moved gracefully, striking with controlled power, while Ethan guided the infiltration team through narrow corridors, avoiding detection and traps. The core chamber was unlike anything he had seen. Ancient symbols glowed across the walls, pulsing with energy, and the weapon's central core radiated a hum that seemed almost alive. The rogue scientists were already inside, working frantically to activate the device. Ethan studied the setup, noting that while the technology was advanced, its logic had flaws. Humans could see patterns that even the Zalari could miss. We can disable the core by redirecting the energy flow, he whispered to the team, but we have to act fast. One mistake and it triggers a planetary explosion. Ethan moved quickly, rerouting conduits, adjusting power levels, and improvising where instructions were unclear. His hands moved with speed and certainty, and the Zellari observers marveled at his ability to see solutions in chaos. Suddenly, alarms blared. A rogue scientist had noticed them. Energy blasts shot across the chamber, forcing Ethan and his team to take cover. He realized they could not fight conventionally. They had to use ingenuity, not brute force. Ethan grabbed a nearby energy shield module and repositioned it, creating a temporary barrier that absorbed the blasts. Then, using a combination of Zellari energy manipulation and human engineering, he redirected the weapon's power flow, stabilizing the core and preventing activation. The rogue scientists panicked. "No, you don't understand the power you're interfering with," one shouted, but Ethan ignored them. He focused on finishing the task, rerouting the last energy channel and shutting down the device completely. As the core's glow dimmed, Liara entered the chamber with her elite guard. Her presence was commanding. She quickly secured the rogue scientists and deactivated remaining defenses. "Ethan," she said, her voice filled with quiet respect, "you have saved countless lives today. Your courage, creativity, and quick thinking prevented a catastrophe that could have ended entire civilizations." Ethan exhaled, feeling both relief and exhaustion. "We did it together," he said. "Yes," Liara replied. "But humans, you have a spark that changes everything. The galaxy may have advanced technology, but courage and ingenuity, your traits, are what make true difference." The aftermath of the mission revealed the impact of their actions. News spread across the galaxy that a human had helped prevent a disaster of unimaginable scale. Many species previously skeptical of humanity began to reassess their views. Humans were not merely small, fragile beings, they were problem solvers, courageous, and capable of decisive action under pressure. As the celebration subsided, Liara and Ethan stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns were setting, casting long shadows across the floating towers. "Ethan," she said, her voice soft, "you have proven once again why humans are extraordinary. Your loyalty, your courage, it saved countless lives, and it has reminded me why I trusted you." Ethan looked out at the horizon. He felt a deep sense of purpose. The galaxy was still vast and dangerous, but humans had left their mark, not through sheer power or numbers, but through heart, courage, and intelligence. "I only did what I had to do," he said quietly. "You did more," Liara replied. "You reminded the galaxy that even the smallest of hearts can make a difference. Humans may be few, but your spirit is powerful. Never forget that." In the days that followed, Ethan helped Liara secure the rogue scientist's knowledge, ensuring that such weapons could never be used again. He worked tirelessly, using his human ingenuity to design safeguards that even Zellari engineers had not considered. During this time, Ethan also began to understand Liara more deeply. She was not just a queen or a leader, she was a being who bore the weight of her people's survival. Yet she trusted him enough to act alongside her. That trust was rare, precious, and humbling. One evening, as they walked along a glowing bridge above the city, Ethan spoke. "Liara, I never imagined humans could make such a difference in your world, but now I see we can. Not because of weapons or technology, but because of heart, courage, and choice." Liara's eyes glimmered. "Exactly, Ethan. That is why you are here. That is why I trust you. You represent the best of humanity. The potential to rise above fear, to make choices that others cannot. And together, we can face whatever comes next." Ethan nodded, feeling a renewed sense of determination. The rogue faction had been defeated, but the galaxy was full of dangers yet unseen. Still, he knew that humans had a role to play, small in number perhaps, but immense in impact. Courage, loyalty, and ingenuity were forces that could tip the scales, even in a universe of advanced civilizations. And as long as he lived, Ethan Carter would continue to prove that humans could rise to challenges that even the most advanced beings might fear. For in every human heart was the power to change the galaxy, not through force alone, but through courage, choice, and the unwavering willingness to act when it mattered most. Liara looked at him, a faint smile on her lips. The galaxy has changed, Ethan, and so have you. But one thing remains true. Your heart, your courage, and your loyalty are what saved lives today and what will save them tomorrow. Ethan returned her smile, though it was tempered with exhaustion. I'll always do what I must, he said. For you, for my people, for the galaxy. The galaxy was quiet that evening, at least on the surface. The twin suns of Liara's world dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the floating city. But beneath the calm, the memory of the recent threat, the rogue Zilari scientists and their dangerous technology, still lingered. Ethan had proven himself again, not just to Liara, but to the entire galaxy. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of peace, but it was tempered with anticipation. The galaxy would always hold challenges, and humans would always have a role to play, no matter how small. He glanced at Liara, who stood beside him, her eyes glowing softly. She had changed in many ways, stronger, wiser, and more determined. But to Ethan, she was still the same being he had risked his life for years ago, a queen who trusted him, even as she ruled over a civilization far beyond human understanding. You've done more than any human could have imagined, Liara said quietly. Her voice carried warmth and respect. Not only have you helped stop a catastrophe, but you have reminded my people that courage and loyalty matter, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Ethan smiled faintly. I only did what any human would have done, if they had the chance. Liara shook her head. No, humans are rare in the galaxy, and your qualities are rarer still. Courage, ingenuity, loyalty, and the willingness to act when others hesitate. These are traits that even we, with all our technology, cannot teach. You have shown that humanity matters, not just in numbers or weapons, but in spirit. Ethan felt a surge of pride, tempered by humility. He had never sought recognition, only to do what was right. Yet standing beside Liara, he realized that his actions had left a mark on a galaxy far larger than his home world. Humans were small, yes, but their potential was limitless. In the following days, Ethan helped Liara establish safeguards to prevent any future misuse of the rogue technology. The Zilari engineers were brilliant, but Ethan's human intuition added solutions they had not considered. He worked tirelessly, combining human improvisation with Zilari precision. By the end of it, the weapons' blueprints were neutralized, and the rogue scientists were placed under strict supervision. Through it all, Ethan began to see a change in Liara's people. They respected him not merely as a guest or ally, but as a representative of humanity itself. He had shown them that a single human could make a difference that even centuries of Zilari knowledge could not. Conversations with Zilari leaders shifted subtly. They asked for his opinion, sought his insight, and treated him as a valued strategist. For the first time, humans were seen not as fragile outsiders, but as beings capable of shaping the galaxy's future. One evening, as Ethan walked through the glowing garden suspended above the city, Liara joined him. Bioluminescent plants cast soft light across their faces, and the hum of energy fields created a serene background. Ethan, Liara said, you have proven more than courage or skill. You have proven that humans can bridge worlds. You are not just my ally. You are a symbol of what humanity can achieve. Ethan looked at her, the weight of her words settling in. I never thought I'd see it this way, he admitted. I grew up on a small planet in a quiet colony. I never imagined humans could matter so much in the galaxy. Liara's eyes glimmered. It is not where you begin, but what you choose to do. That is the lesson your actions have taught everyone here. Humanity has a place among the stars not because of power, but because of heart. As they walked together, Liara led him to a balcony overlooking the city. The towers glowed with energy, ships moved gracefully above, and the entire world seemed alive. I want you to stay, she said softly. At my side as a bridge between our peoples. You understand humans and Zilari both. Your wisdom and courage are invaluable. Ethan hesitated. Returning to his colony would have been easy. A quiet life after years of danger. But he realized that the galaxy was not meant for quiet lives. It was a place for those willing to act, to make choices, to lead when others faltered. And he had the chance to do so. I will stay, he said finally. If it helps your people, and if it shows what humanity can achieve. Liara's expression softened into a faint smile. Then you are exactly where you belong. In the weeks that followed, Ethan took on a new role. He became a liaison between humans and Zalari civilizations, advising on technology, defense, and cooperation. Humans had few representatives in the galaxy, but with Ethan's guidance, their reputation grew. Reports of his actions spread, highlighting a human who had faced impossible odds, outsmarted enemies, and helped prevent catastrophic destruction. Children on human colonies looked up to him as a hero, inspired by the story of a human who had saved an alien queen and helped prevent the galaxy's destruction. Zalari scholars began studying human ingenuity, fascinated by the unique ways in which humans approached problems. Across worlds, Ethan's influence grew, not because he sought fame, but because humans had proven their worth through action, courage, and heart. Yet despite all this recognition, Ethan remained humble. He never sought glory. Instead, he focused on what mattered, building trust between species, ensuring the galaxy was safer, and helping Liara guide her people wisely. One day, as they reviewed a strategic map of the galaxy, Liara turned to him. "Ethan, the galaxy may always hold dangers, but it is clear now that humans can rise to any challenge. You have shown them and me what courage truly means. It is not strength or technology. It is the choice to act when others cannot." Ethan nodded, remembering the battles he had fought, the risks he had taken, and the moments when failure seemed inevitable. "I've learned that humans have something special," he said quietly. "Even in the smallest numbers, even in the most hopeless situations, we can make a difference. Heart matters as much as strength." Liara's eyes glimmered with admiration, "and that difference has saved lives countless times. The galaxy will remember what one human heart can do, Ethan, and so will I." Months passed and peace returned to the region. Ethan and Liara worked together to strengthen alliances, prevent rogue factions, and foster cooperation between humans and Zalari. Their bond deepened, built on trust, respect, and shared experiences. Humans were no longer outsiders, they were partners, valued and capable. Ethan often walked through the city at night, gazing at the stars. He thought of his home colony, of the quiet life he had once known, and of the vast galaxy he now called home. He had once risked everything for a queen, and in return he had found a purpose far beyond his imagination. One evening, Liara joined him on the balcony. She looked out at the stars, then back at him. "Ethan, you have proven what humanity can be. You have reminded everyone that courage, loyalty, and ingenuity are forces that can change the galaxy. And you have reminded me why trust is so powerful." Ethan smiled faintly. "I only did what I had to. But I see now, humans matter more than I ever realized. We can shape the galaxy, not through numbers or weapons, but through heart and choice." Liara nodded, her expression filled with quiet pride. "Exactly. And because of that, you are not just my ally, you are a symbol. A reminder that even the smallest species can make the greatest difference." As the twin suns rose the next day, casting light across the floating city, Ethan felt a sense of hope and determination unlike anything he had known. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and dangerous, but humans had left their mark and would continue to do so. Standing beside Liara, he understood something profound. Humanity's strength was not in technology, not in numbers, but in courage, heart, and the willingness to act when others hesitated. He had proven it once, and now he would continue to prove it every day. For Ethan Carter, the human who had risked everything for an alien queen, the journey had not ended with survival. It had begun anew, an endless adventure of courage, loyalty, and hope. And as he gazed out at the galaxy, he knew one thing for certain: humanity's story was only beginning.